The Cleveland Browns organization is facing a firestorm of controversy that has the entire NFL world talking. And honestly, folks, what I'm about to show you is going to make your jaw drop. We're not talking about missed assignments here. We're not talking about rookie mistakes or mental errors. What we're witnessing is something far more sinister, something that has fans, analysts, and even rival players questioning everything they thought they knew about professional football integrity. Picture this scene. It's 4th and 1. You're on the doorstep of the red zone. This is the moment where championship teams dig deep, where offensive lines are supposed to prove their worth, where men become legends. But what happened on this particular play has gone viral for all the wrong reasons, and the footage doesn't lie. What transpired on that field has sparked a debate that's tearing through social media like wildfire, with millions of views and thousands of comments from shocked fans who simply cannot believe what they're seeing with their own eyes. Let me take you back to the beginning of this explosive story. For weeks now, whispers have been circulating throughout the NFL community. Veteran observers, film analysts, and dedicated fans have been noticing something peculiar about the Cleveland Browns' offensive line play, particularly when rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders is under center. We're not talking about conspiracy theories cooked up in someone's basement. We're talking about legitimate film evidence that has even the most skeptical analysts raising their eyebrows and asking uncomfortable questions. The footage in question comes from a recent Browns game, and when you see it, you'll understand why it's causing such an uproar. A TikTok user going by the handle Winf Thatcher was doing what thousands of football fans do every week, breaking down game film, looking for insights, studying the intricacies of the game. But what he discovered on this particular 4th down play was something nobody expected to find. The clip was then shared by Gucci on Twitter, a prominent voice in the football community known for calling out questionable plays and holding players accountable. And from there, it exploded across every social media platform imaginable. So let's break down exactly what happened on this play because the details matter here. The Browns lined up for a crucial 4th and 1 situation. This is football at its most fundamental level. You need 1 yard, just 36 inches, the distance from your fingertips to your shoulder. In the NFL, with professional athletes who have trained their entire lives for moments exactly like this, converting 4th and 1 should be almost automatic, especially when you've got millions of dollars worth of offensive line talent standing between your quarterback and the defense. But here's where things get absolutely bizarre. Right tackle Jack Conklin, a player who has been in the league long enough to know better, does something that has veteran coaches shaking their heads in disbelief. Instead of engaging with the defender in front of him, instead of using his superior size and strength to create a push at the line of scrimmage, Conklin essentially launches himself through the air like he's auditioning for a Superman movie. I'm not exaggerating here, folks. The man literally leaves his feet and flies past his assignment, leaving the defender completely unblocked with a clear path to the backfield. Now, you might be thinking, okay, maybe that was just a blown assignment. Maybe he thought he was supposed to get to the 2nd level. Maybe there was some miscommunication at the line of scrimmage. These things happen in football, right? But hold on, because we're just getting started with this disaster of a play. Before Conklin even makes his Superman impression, there's a clear false start in the backfield that somehow doesn't get flagged by the officials. A player gets set in motion illegally, but the referees apparently decided to keep their flags in their pockets for this particular violation. But wait, there's more. If Conklin's inexplicable decision to block absolutely nobody wasn't bad enough, left guard Joel Bitonio, the veteran leader of this offensive line, the guy who's supposed to set the tone and hold everyone accountable, proceeds to completely whiff on his own assignment. And I'm not talking about getting beat by a superior pass rush move. I'm not talking about losing a one-on-one battle to a dominant defensive tackle. Bitonio literally falls to the ground without making any meaningful contact with anyone. It's like watching someone slip on a banana peel, except this is the National Football League and there are millions of dollars on the line. The result of this comedy of errors, or should I say this tragedy of sabotage, is that 2 defenders come through completely untouched. The play never had a chance. Shedeur Sanders, who's already dealing with enough pressure as a rookie quarterback trying to prove himself in the most competitive league in the world, gets swarmed before he can even think about moving the chains. The Browns turn the ball over on downs, and another opportunity slips through their fingers like sand in an hourglass. Now here's where this story gets even more interesting, and frankly, more disturbing. This isn't an isolated incident. This isn't just one bad play that we can write off as a fluke or an anomaly. Over the past several weeks, footage has been emerging that shows a pattern of questionable offensive line play, specifically when Shedeur Sanders is on the field. We've seen offensive linemen appearing to sneak Sanders. We've seen offensive linemen blocking their own teammates instead of the opposing defense. We've seen a level of dysfunction that goes beyond simple mistakes or lack of chemistry. Think about what this means for a rookie quarterback trying to establish himself in the NFL. Shedeur Sanders came into this league with high expectations. He's the son of an NFL legend. He's got the pedigree, the arm talent, and the football IQ to succeed at the highest level. But none of that matters if the guys who are supposed to protect him, the guys who are paid millions of dollars specifically to keep him upright and give him time to operate, are either completely incompetent or, as some are now suggesting, intentionally undermining his success. Joel Bitonio is particularly interesting in this conversation because he's been positioned as the leader of this offensive line. He's the veteran voice, the guy who's supposed to set the standard both on and off the field. He's the one who's been making statements, trying to control the narrative, essentially acting as the quarterback of the offensive line unit. But when you watch the film, when you see him literally falling to the ground without making any effort to block anyone, it raises serious questions about leadership, accountability, and what's really going on inside that Browns facility. The timing of all this couldn't be worse for Cleveland. This is an organization that has struggled for decades to find stability at the quarterback position. They've cycled through more signal callers than most fans can even remember. They finally seem to have found some potential in Sanders, a young quarterback with real talent and upside, and now they're dealing with this offensive line controversy that threatens to derail everything before it even gets started. How is a rookie quarterback supposed to develop, supposed to gain confidence, supposed to learn the NFL game when he can't trust the five guys standing in front of him? The contrast with other rookie quarterbacks this season is striking and illuminating. Take Cam Ward, for instance, who was drafted by another team and has been dealing with his own rookie challenges. Ward recently spoke to the media about his season, his relationship with Shedeur Sanders, and the difficulties of navigating life as a first-year NFL quarterback. His comments provide fascinating insight into the rookie quarterback experience and highlight just how different Sanders' situation might be. When asked about his connection with his receivers and what needs to improve, Ward talked about film study, about putting the ball in better positions, about the normal growing pains that every rookie quarterback experiences. These are the kinds of challenges you expect. Timing issues with receivers, learning to read NFL defenses, adjusting to the speed of the professional game. These are surmountable obstacles that can be overcome with hard work and dedication. But when Ward was asked about Shedeur Sanders and whether he sees similarities in how they've both had to navigate adversity, his answer was revealing. Ward acknowledged that every rookie's journey is different, that you take it week to week, and that you can't get too high or too low. But then he said something that stands out. He said he doesn't know what's going on in Cleveland's building. He doesn't know what Sanders has to deal with on a daily basis in and out of the facility. That's a diplomatic way of saying that Ward recognizes Sanders might be dealing with challenges that go beyond normal rookie struggles. Ward went on to describe his relationship with Sanders as solid, noting that they spoke at the start of the season and that they're there for each other even if the demanding NFL schedule makes regular communication difficult. He talked about being blessed to play the game healthy and get out of games healthy, which takes on additional meaning when you consider that Sanders is playing behind an offensive line that appears to be leaving him exposed to punishment on a weekly basis. The most telling part of Ward's comments came when he was asked about the draft and how it unfolded for Sanders, who continuously dropped despite being one of the top quarterback prospects. Ward's response was measured and thoughtful. He talked about everything happening for a reason, about God having a plan, about proving yourself right every time you step on the field. But there was an underlying acknowledgement there that Sanders' draft day experience, falling further than expected, might have been indicative of concerns that teams had about either his situation or how he'd fit into certain organizations. Ward also made a fascinating statement about losing. He said that sometimes you have to lose to win. And he explained that while winning reveals a lot, losing reveals everything. In winning, there's often a lot of stuff that gets covered up, hidden beneath the celebratory headlines and the feel-good stories. But when you're losing, when things are falling apart, that's when the truth comes out. That's when you see people's true character. That's when you discover who's really committed to the team and who's just going through the motions or worse. This philosophy applies directly to what we're seeing with the Cleveland Browns and their offensive line situation. The losses are revealing everything. The film doesn't lie. The footage shows exactly what's happening on every single snap, and no amount of press conference spin or social media damage control can change what's visible on the tape. When Jack Conklin flies through the air like he's trying to break the world record for the long jump instead of blocking his assignment, the film captures it. When Joel Bitonio falls to the ground without making contact with anyone, the camera sees it all. The question that everyone is asking now, the question that's dominating every NFL discussion forum and social media platform, is simple but profound. Is this incompetence or is this intentional? Are we watching a poorly coached offensive line that lacks fundamentals and technique, or are we witnessing something more deliberate, more sinister? Are these professional athletes who have dedicated their lives to mastering their craft suddenly forgetting how to do the most basic aspects of their jobs? Or is there something else going on here? The conspiracy angle is obviously the more dramatic interpretation, and it's important to approach such allegations with appropriate skepticism. Suggesting that NFL players are intentionally sabotaging their own teammate is a serious accusation that shouldn't be made lightly. These are professionals whose reputations and future contracts depend on their performance. Intentionally playing poorly would seem to go against their own self-interest. But then you watch the film again. You see Conklin launching himself into space instead of engaging with the defender right in front of him. You see Bitonio falling down like he's been shot by an invisible sniper. You see Sanders getting hit again and again because the protection simply isn't there. And you start to wonder if maybe, just maybe, there's more to this story than simple mistakes or lack of execution. The impact on Sanders cannot be overstated. Rookie quarterbacks need to build confidence, need to develop timing with their receivers, need to learn to trust their progressions and go through their reads. All of that becomes nearly impossible when you're getting hit on every other play, when you're constantly under pressure, when you can't trust that your offensive line is going to give you the 2 or 3 seconds you need to let plays develop downfield. This kind of environment doesn't just stunt a young quarterback's development. It can break them completely, rob them of their confidence, and turn a promising career into a cautionary tale. Think about the psychological toll this must be taking. Sanders comes to the line of scrimmage, calls out the protection, identifies the defense, and then watches as his offensive line proceeds to completely blow their assignments. How many times can that happen before doubt starts to creep in? How many times can you get blindsided because your right tackle decided to block air before you start feeling the pressure, even when it's not there? This is how quarterbacks develop happy feet, how they start seeing ghosts, how their internal clock speeds up to the point where they're rushing throws and making poor decisions. The Browns organization has been silent on this issue, which is perhaps the most damning aspect of the entire situation. There have been no public statements addressing the offensive line's performance. There have been no explanations for the repeated breakdowns. There have been no announcements of coaching changes or player accountability measures. The silence is deafening, and it only adds fuel to the speculation fire that's raging across the internet. From a coaching perspective, this situation should be unacceptable. If these are truly just mistakes, just blown assignments and mental errors, then the offensive line coach needs to be doing a better job of preparation and teaching. These are fundamental techniques we're talking about. Engaging with the defender in front of you, maintaining proper footwork and hand placement, staying on your feet and finishing blocks. This is offensive line 101, stuff that these players learned in high school and perfected in college. If the coaching is adequate and the players are still performing this poorly, then personnel changes need to be made. The NFL is full of offensive linemen who would love an opportunity to play. There are practice squad players, recently released veterans, and guys working regular jobs who would jump at the chance to suit up for an NFL team. If the current starters can't or won't do their jobs, replace them with players who will. But if this is something more intentional, if there really is some kind of internal sabotage happening, then the Browns have a much bigger problem on their hands. That would suggest a complete breakdown in team culture, a toxic environment where veterans are undermining the success of a rookie quarterback for reasons that remain unclear. Is it jealousy over Sanders' draft status or media attention? Is it resentment about how the team is being built or how resources are being allocated? Is there some personal conflict that spilled onto the field? The viral nature of this footage has created a PR nightmare for Cleveland. Millions of people have now seen these clips. They've watched Conklin's Superman impression and Bitonio's pratfall. They've seen the analysis breaking down exactly what went wrong on these plays. The court of public opinion has rendered its verdict, and it's not favorable to the Browns' offensive line. These players are being dragged on social media, their professionalism questioned, their commitment doubted. For Shedeur Sanders, this situation represents a critical juncture in his young career. How he responds to this adversity, how he handles the pressure of playing behind a dysfunctional offensive line will go a long way toward determining what kind of NFL quarterback he becomes. Some young quarterbacks crumble under this kind of stress. The constant pressure, the lack of protection, the hits that keep coming, it all becomes too much and they never fulfill their potential. But other quarterbacks use adversity as fuel. They develop quicker releases to compensate for poor protection. They become more decisive with their reads and progressions. They learn to feel pressure and manipulate the pocket even when it's collapsing around them. Some of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history had to overcome difficult situations early in their careers, and those challenges made them stronger, more resilient, more resourceful. The question is, which path will Sanders take? Does he have the mental toughness to persevere through this nightmare scenario? Can he maintain his confidence and continue to develop his game even when everything around him seems to be falling apart? Or will this experience leave lasting scars that prevent him from ever reaching his full potential? Looking at the bigger picture, this situation raises questions about accountability in the NFL. How do players get away with performances this poor? Where are the coaches holding people responsible? Where is the front office stepping in to demand better? In most professions, if you consistently fail to perform the basic requirements of your job, there are consequences. You get demoted, you get fired, you get replaced. But in the NFL, particularly with veteran players who have guaranteed contracts, there seems to be more tolerance for underperformance. The financial aspect of this cannot be ignored either. NFL offensive linemen make millions of dollars per year. Jack Conklin signed a contract extension with the Browns that made him one of the highest paid right tackles in the league. Joel Bitonio has been rewarded with multiple contract extensions throughout his career. These players are being compensated at the highest level of their profession, and yet the product they're putting on the field looks like something you might see from a struggling college team or a preseason game full of third stringers. Browns fans, who have suffered through decades of disappointment and dysfunction, deserve better than this. They've stuck with this team through countless losing seasons, quarterback controversies, coaching changes, and front office disasters. They finally have a rookie quarterback who might represent hope for the future, and they're watching him get destroyed behind an offensive line that appears to be either completely incompetent or actively working against his success. The national media has started picking up on this story as well. What started as social media posts and YouTube videos has now crossed over into mainstream sports coverage. Analysts on major networks are discussing the Browns' offensive line play. Former NFL players are weighing in with their opinions. Coaches and executives from other teams are surely taking note, filing away information that might prove useful in future matchups or personnel decisions. For the other rookie quarterbacks in Sanders' draft class, this situation serves as a stark reminder of how much success in the NFL depends on factors beyond individual talent. You can have all the arm strength, accuracy, and football intelligence in the world, but if your offensive line won't protect you, if your coaches won't put you in position to succeed, if your organization isn't committed to building around you properly, none of that talent matters. The NFL is the ultimate team game, and no position is more dependent on the performance of teammates than quarterback. The coming weeks will be crucial in determining how this story develops. Will the Browns make changes to their offensive line? Will there be any public accountability for these performances? Will Sanders continue to start, or will the team decide to protect their investment by sitting him until the situation improves? And most importantly, will the truth about what's really happening ever fully come to light? One thing is absolutely certain: the film will continue to tell the story. Every snap is recorded from multiple angles. Every block, or lack thereof, is captured on camera. Every time a Browns offensive lineman fails to do his job, the evidence will be there for everyone to see. And as long as this pattern continues, as long as Sanders is being left exposed and vulnerable, the questions and the controversy will only grow louder. This is a story that transcends football. It's about professionalism and accountability. It's about how organizations handle internal problems. It's about whether veterans will support and protect a young player or whether they'll leave him out to dry. It's about the difference between honest mistakes and something that looks increasingly like intentional sabotage. The Cleveland Browns are at a crossroads. They can either address this situation head-on, make the necessary changes, and commit to building around Shedeur Sanders properly, or they can continue down this path of dysfunction and watch another promising young quarterback's career get derailed before it ever really gets started. The choice is theirs, but the clock is ticking and the patience of fans, media, and the football world at large is wearing thin. What we're witnessing here might be remembered as one of the strangest chapters in recent NFL history. The viral footage of Jack Conklin's Superman dive and Joel Bitonio's mysterious tumble will live forever on the internet. Permanent reminders of a time when a team's offensive line appeared to completely abandon their fundamental responsibilities. Whether this represents gross incompetence or something more sinister may never be fully known. But the impact on Shedeur Sanders' rookie season is undeniable and potentially devastating. So there you have it, folks. The most bizarre offensive line controversy in recent memory, captured on film for the world to see and judge. The Browns are in crisis mode whether they want to admit it or not, and Shedeur Sanders is caught in the middle of a situation that no rookie quarterback should ever have to face. As this story continues to unfold, one thing remains crystal clear. Something is very wrong in Cleveland, and until it gets fixed, the Browns and their talented young quarterback are going to continue struggling in ways that have nothing to do with talent or potential. Now it's your turn to weigh in on this explosive controversy. What do you think is really happening with the Browns' offensive line? Is this simply a case of poor coaching and lack of execution, or is there something more sinister at play? Do you believe Jack Conklin and Joel Bitonio are intentionally sabotaging Shedeur Sanders, or are we all reading too much into a few bad plays? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below because I want to hear what you think about this absolute mess of a situation. And listen, if you found this deep dive into the Browns' offensive line disaster as shocking and fascinating as I did putting it together, do me a huge favor and smash that like button right now. This story needs to be seen by every NFL fan out there because what's happening in Cleveland could have major implications for the entire league. The more people who see this footage and understand what's going on, the more pressure there will be on the Browns organization to actually do something about it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. We're going to continue following this story closely, and you can bet that as more footage emerges and more information comes to light, we'll be right here breaking it all down for you. This is the kind of content you won't find anywhere else. Honest, unfiltered analysis that isn't afraid to ask the tough questions and call out the problems everyone else wants to ignore.